Hello and welcome to another episode of Optometry Unleashed. I'm your host, Dr. Trevor Miranda. You're familiar with the story. Small town girl moves to the big city to chase her dreams. But today, we're flipping the script. Her name's Dr. Abby Jakob. And after graduating from the Illinois College of Optometry, Dr. Jakob left the busy streets of Chicago and moved back to her hometown in Kingsville, Ontario. In just 4 years, Dr. Jakob launched her optometry practice, Eyes, earning her numerous awards, including Young Professional of the Year, Best Optometrist, and Best Optical Store. And just recently, Abby celebrated her 1-year anniversary of her new company, Bright, which offers innovative solutions for dry eye treatments and top-grade medical aesthetics. I'm absolutely thrilled to have her on the show, and together, we're going to uncover the surprising lessons from small-town entrepreneurship and leveraging the power of community to mastering the art of personal branding and expanding your practice. So get ready for big business breakthroughs from the small-town girl from Kingsville, Ontario. Let's get started. Welcome to the show, Abby.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
It's so great, Abby. I know a lot of, I talked to Howard Purcell he's the president of the New England College of Optometry, and he says a lot of the new grads, they want to go to the cities now, but you chose to come back to Kingsville, to your hometown. Can you tell us what went into that decision-making?
I think going to optometry school in Chicago from already being away from school or from home when I went to undergrad, when I went to Halifax for undergrad, I thought that I actually wanted to move out to BC after optometry school and come and work with you.
Yeah, girl. You're still welcome. Always welcome.
Don't threaten me with a good time. But in my third or fourth year, I realized I felt like I was ready to come home, and I've always been a homebody, and I don't remember missing my home like I did when I was finishing up optometry school, and it just felt right to be back there.
Yeah, amazing. I wondered what your thoughts are. I'm from a little town in Ontario called Simcoe, and then I moved out west. But, if I go back to Simcoe, I'm still little Trevor Miranda, sort of that high school version of myself. And how did you transition from little Abby Jakob to, Dr. Abby Jakob and, a leading, entrepreneur and professional with all this awards that you're winning? So how did your kindergarten teacher and your basketball coach sort of view you now as an eye doctor, as an optometry a doctor in the community?
I feel like it was a really warm welcome home, actually. I had an amazing childhood, and I was very involved with sports and school and academics and music. And I feel like when I came home, it felt really good to just be remembered. And I feel like the community just accepted me back with open arms and said, I can't wait to come and see you now. Like, it was literally like a dream. It's been amazing.
Yeah, that's so cool. And I think a lot of people don't realize that, everybody's evolving, and little kids grow up and they become great pillars in the community, just like you are in Kingsville. So that's really, really cool. And, speaking about sports, Abby, I know you played a year at varsity in Dalhousie in basketball. And what are your thoughts about, sports and driving your ambitions at work? What have you learned from that?
I think sports are such a big part of what made me who I am, and just having the drive and ambition and hard work and confidence and self-esteem. Like, I can't say enough about how important it's been for me to be resilient and determined, and just to know in my heart that whatever I want to do, I can do it. And I feel like when I see people that haven't played sports and they don't have the same mindset, it makes me wonder, I wonder if that would have helped.
Yeah, and being part of a team, right? Where you're all kind of
Yeah.
pulling in the same direction. Everybody in the optometric practice wants to have a great experience with this patient, and so you need team players. Like not everybody can be the doctor, not everybody's answering the phone, and so how does everybody play their position so that you can achieve greatness as a team? So coming with your background in sports. That's cool. And you were telling me earlier that you're giving back in the sports area. Can you tell me what you're doing there?
Oh, yeah. So last year I went to this event on International Women's Day, and it was hosted by another local female business owner in our town, and she's a great leader. And this event is called Count Her In, and it's about getting girls in sports and keeping girls in sports. And she invited me this year to join her as a partner and host it again and make it even bigger and try to impact even more female lives because of not because of the sport necessarily, just because of what sports create for people in the future. And it touched my heart. And I feel like I can't thank my parents enough for putting me into sports.
Yeah, sports is just a great thing, and it's great whether it's kids sport that gives that opportunity for less privileged kids to participate in sports, or people like you that are donating their time to help the next generation of sporting, and especially females. Two of my daughters are really varsity athletes as well, and it's great because the whole community, it's changed, from when I was a kid to everybody gets an opportunity to play sports, and there's lots of opportunities for females all the way through, including professional leagues now. So it's great to see. I love it, and thank you for doing that. I think that's so cool. And speaking of sort of female empowerment, you're a female business owner, and I believe all of your doctors are female as well, correct?
Yeah, that's right. I have three associate doctors now and all young females and they're all amazing.
Yeah, and they're super fun. And we were chatting earlier about your online. I mean, if you don't follow eyes on Instagram, you should, because I always get a little giggle from what you're doing online there, Abby. And tell me about that. How do you put out such great content?
I think it's a big team effort. A lot of my teammates and doctors are very clever and we all just enjoy laughing and having fun. And I think that's a big part of even what I want patients to see is that even though I'm your eye doctor, I'm actually also a fun person and a happy person. And this will be like a great part of your day to come in and see us.
I think you can really feel that. Like, when your in-person personality and your online personality are really aligned, in my opinion, you're fun and you're a great person to be around. And I think, your team and your patients are going to feel that. And that's probably a really key ingredient to a successful practice. You have a lot of confidence on online on social media, and does that come naturally, or is that something you've had to work towards, doing little clips and videos, or you've got a stage presence? Did you have to work at that, or were you nervous at first?
I am always nervous. I'm nervous right now. I when it's making TikToks, I'm fine because I can like reshoot it if I don't like it. But speaking live or speaking in front of a bunch of people, as much as it is good for me and I know it's good for me, I get so nervous still. But I think preparing is the only thing I can do, and knowing my stuff does help.
Yeah, totally, totally. One of the things that comes across, Abby, whether it's in person or online, is your authenticity, and I know, that's something that you've really valued. Can you speak to authenticity?
Sure, yeah. I think it is important to me for people to see who I am is who I am in the office is actually who I am outside of the office and on social media. And I know some people don't like to be seen in their community outside of work, and they want to like go like this. And I'm the type of person that's like, I am who I am, and I'm comfortable with who I am, and I feel like I'm a good person. And if you see me out dancing to a live band, I don't care, because I'm living my best life, and this is what I would do at work too.
We're just going to take a brief break and hear from our sponsor. I want to take a moment to say thank you to Hoya Vision Canada, our sponsor for this episode. Hoya empowers eye care professionals to achieve their business goals through comprehensive training and regular business reviews. Super High Vision Mirio EX4 is the latest innovative anti-reflection coating that has set new industry standards for clarity and durability. Also, their award-winning myopia management lens, MyoSmart, has sold over 4 million lenses worldwide. To learn more, contact your local Hoya territory manager today and elevate your practice. And now, back to our conversation with Dr. Abby Jakob. And I know that you're kind of a little bit of a rock star. You know, it was one of your dreams to be in a band.
Yeah, it still is.
Well, then would definitely. I can't wait for the first album to drop. You know, that's perfect. You're gonna phone me up for the midnight album drop because yeah, you're a saxophonist. Is that correct?
Well, that's right. I
And do you
was in
sing?
a
Do you sing as well, or just on Shotmeister before you guys went out to the
yeah.
bar karaoke? Do you actually sing too?
I try to sing.
Yeah.
My dad would say different. He would
Is your
say
dad?
don't.
He says just stick to the musical instrument. Don't sing.
Well, he says stick to optometry. Don't play instruments. Don't get into music.
Ouch! Ouch! Dream killer. I mean, yeah. I'm more aspired to Milli Vanilli and lip syncing, you know, kind of dancing and lip syncing. That's really my cup of tea. But that's so cool. That's so cool. Have you done some gigs out there in the community? Have you done anything like that to follow that? I know Howard Purcell. You know, I interviewed him, the president of NECO, New England College of Optometry, and he wanted to be and still wants to be like a professional drummer. So,
I saw that.
yeah, that's so cool. And are you going to kind of pursue that now? Or what do you think?
I feel like as time goes on and I'm getting a little bit older and it's getting further away, I feel more and more inspired to do it, because I'm like, I need to do it. I can't keep putting off this passion of mine. And I don't know if you know this, but my dad was in a band that was like a really well known band around our area. And it was like a 10-piece band with horns. And so I always used to say, when I'm done optometry school, I'm joining the band. And then when I finished school, he retired from the band. So I still feel like someday I would seriously love to be in a band, and can see myself doing it.
You should do it. You know, it's amazing. You know, I think it's interesting, right? Where our dreams are kind of dashed by everybody and they're put aside. And so we kind of dash our own dreams as well. And when we're young and we're sort of wide-eyed and sort of have that awe about the world that we can accomplish anything. If we can keep that as long as we can, I mean, then we can accomplish anything. That's kind of what I believe, and I know you do too, Abby. So, you know, when I hear somebody talk about their dreams, I'm like, let's do it. You know, go for it, because I think as evidenced by your amazing practice that you started, I mean, I think that you can do anything you put your mind to.
Well, thanks for your support. I appreciate it. My dad always says I have rose-colored glasses on, and I used to take that as like an insult, but now I'm happy that I do still have rose-colored glasses on, because I think you're right. If I can still have dreams, that's better than most, to have a dream.
It is, and it's amazing that we can dream, and a lot of those dreams come true. And I'm kind of some of my team, Abby, they make fun of me. They're like, okay, listen, you stop being positive. Like, you got to be a little bit down one day, you know. My controller, she's like, what is going on? Why are you having another good day? It's almost like she's waiting for me to have a bad day. So I'm on definitely my best behavior because I don't want to break that streak, right? Like, I want to have a good day. But I think it's a conscious effort too, right? It's like, hey, choose your attitude. When things go wrong, do you want to choose bitter or do you want to choose better? And I choose better because, I think it can be better, and just believe it to be better. I believe good things will happen, and good things happen. So I don't know. I don't want to break that streak. I don't know what are your thoughts on that?
I 100% agree with that. Nowadays, it's more about like positive affirmations and believing that good is going to happen. And there's this book that I love called Coffee Talk, where everybody drinks a coffee or a tea in the morning, and if you can pair that with saying good things like, I'm a leader, I am charismatic, or people pay for my services, people pay a lot of money to see me and for my expertise, like, I try to talk myself up, and that does actually make me have a better day.
That's a great tip. I mean, that positive self-talk is great, as opposed to that disappointing affirmations Instagram handle that I don't know if you've seen. I don't know if you've seen that one, but I'm like, really? Back to books. Is there any book that you'd recommend your peers read right now? A business type book?
Yeah. If they were trying to open a business, I did like the E-Myth. It's about like why most small businesses fail and what to do about it. And I just read that general E-Myth book and then saw that there was the E-Myth Optometrist actually. And I now have that. And I feel like I should read it again.
Yeah, I love it.
How about you?
Yeah, one of my favorite books that I read early on was called The Five Dysfunctions of a Team. And
Oh,
I think Patrick Lencioni wrote that. But what's interesting in that is one of the dysfunctions is the fear of conflict. So people don't want to discuss, or disagree because they don't want to upset the other person, and there's not that culture of collaboration and sort of challenging each other in a emotionally supportive way. So I I always have tried to say, hey, like let's try to poke holes in anything I say all the time. And that is, I don't have a big ego to that effect that I can't completely change course of my thinking. So in order to do that, we need, even though I'm a very strong personality, we need to make sure that everybody has that intestinal fortitude to challenge anything that anybody says. And sometimes we use the six hats thinking method and try to do positive and negative and creative and different ways to just tease out, make sure people can change their flexibility of thinking. But I like that one, The Five Dysfunctions of a Team. But so many great books, and I do a little huddle for every clinic day, and I have a thought of the day. So I'm always trying to find good little sayings that just kind of try to reinforce everybody to have a good day. Because as the leader, Abby, of a big and growing team, you and I have to set that model, that great attitude, right? That we're going to have a great day.
Exactly. And like you just said, you have a thought of the day. Recently, actually, it was after I listened to your podcast with Kevin Wilhelm. It was when you guys were talking about having team members that align with your values and like choosing positivity and choosing a positive attitude, even if the last patient you spoke to could have ripped your head off. And I showed them the clip about energy vampires and how if you go spill that negative energy to your team, then that's bringing everyone down. And we had a really good talk as a team, and we started writing positive affirmations on our bathroom mirror, and somebody posted a sign on the back door of our office that says positive vibes only. And that was all after listening to you and Kevin talk.
Oh, that's so cool! I love that. That. Thank you for that. I mean, that's awesome. That means a lot. You started a cold start practice, just like all of my practice are cold starts. And what are some of the challenges that you found of just starting from scratch, from zero, Abby?
I think it's intimidating coming into any town, but even just opening a new practice when there's competition less than, like, literally there's an optometry office across the street from me, and the other one in my town is less than a kilometer away. So there's always a concern about why would they want to come and see me when there's already two optometrist offices, that there's nothing wrong with those offices. So that's kind of scary, but I also know that I bring something else to the table. And I think it goes back to having the confidence that you're not like everyone else, and creating your practice that way it's challenging, but it's doable. And I think that's what I've been trying to do.
Yeah, and it takes a courage, and you're brave, right? Because I know there's always that sinking feeling in your gut that you've made a huge mistake when you put all this money in and you can't believe that we did this, and then you realize it's going to work out, and it's such a great feeling to sort of build and build the team and really have an amazing place. But that stems from your leadership and your fun, and I know you've invested in a lot of technologies, like with your aesthetics treatment piece with dry eyes, and I know now you've brought in Neurolens. And can you tell me about what goes into that thought process of adding new technology? Because a lot of these technologies are expensive, they're amazing, but it's a capital investment. So how do you make that decision? And you've really, in a small amount of time, evolved into a highly technologically advanced practice.
Thanks. I look up to a lot of optometrists, one of them being you. And I think ever since I've seen you present and talk about what you offer, and even when I got to come and see your practice that one time, it inspires me to do that too. And having a leader like you show me that it's that it's possible, it makes me feel like, well, then why not me too? I'm going to do it too. And I feel like when I see it done and see it be successful, and then it's in my head, like, I think my patients could use this. And I think there's a need for that. And when I believe in it, I get it, even if it's expensive.
What are you excited about in the future for optometry? What gets you pretty pumped up?
For like my office or optometry in general?
Either, both.
Well, right now I am really, really excited about Neurolenses. You were
It's amazing. Yeah.
yeah, you told me at our last I Recommend conference, I think it was, um, how incredible it was and how surprising it was that it's so good. And every time I talk to patients who are candidates for it, I think they can tell how excited I am, because I believe that this is actually going to solve a lot of their problems. And it's been surprising, even that at first I thought Neurolens was going to be great for like concussion patients, but I see so many just like normal routine eye exam patients that turn out to be such good candidates for Neurolenses after we ask them, do you get headaches? Do you get neck pain? Do you get dry eye sensation? Like, even my dry eye patients that I do treatments on, and they get some relief, but they're still not like as good as I think they should be. The added help that Neurolens is helping with is, I'm just like, is this witchcraft? Like, it's crazy how good it works.
It is incredible, and for those of our listeners that don't know what neurolenses are, they're contour prisms, so they help with aligning or reducing the strain from misalignment of your eyes. And we've learned now that there's a big connection between neck pain and dizziness and even motion sensitivity for patients that have a eye misalignment, and aligning that fixation to that proprioception from their eye and their brain to what is actually happening on the ground is really a great symptom relief. So yeah, what a great technology. And I always tell my colleagues, hey, you got to get this because there's a ton of patients that we haven't been able to help before.
Right.
And now, years later, I've helped some patients that I couldn't figure out for the last 10 years. I feel kind of bad, but we didn't have that technology, and
Yeah.
that is something interesting too that I've talked to, Devin Trischuk about is, hey, there's new technology now and there's new things that we can help patients with. And one of my future podcasts, we're going to talk about, macular degeneration, how I'm treating that in office, and super exciting area as well, Abby. So I think they optometry, there's such cool stuff happening. So I think that's really, really cool. And, I'm always amazed because a lot of times the advice is there, like the pathway to do what I've done, 30 years of cold start practices to be successful. I mean, it's just about doing it and learning from other people and then implementing those strategies. But surprisingly, a lot of, optometrists that start their practice, they don't look to mentorship. And I think it's pretty cool. Like, we're part of a group called I Recommend, where we can kind of share best practices, and that sort of, we're independent optometrists, but that interdependence we have with our colleagues and ability to share those best practices or learnings, I think is so powerful to being very successful.
Right. I think it raises the bar and makes everyone better when everyone shares this is what's working for our office. And I really appreciate that you and other doctors like Wes McCann, like you guys always share so much that's helping you and helping your patients. And so I've obviously I want to do the same.
Yeah, and you are you're helping the next generation of optometrists and, independent practice owners. I know, Abby, by being a speaker and a consultant. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing there?
When I opened my practice, I hired a consultant, Dr. Richard Katoof, and he's been incredible at making sure that I do things right the first time instead of having to fix things. And he even talks about cold starts are actually the easiest people to consult because they haven't made mistakes and they don't need to change anything. They're just going to listen to what you say. They know nothing else. And he has been so happy with the success of my practice, and he still helps me with mentorship and asked me to join him. So I'm consulting in Canada with him now.
That's amazing. I look forward to hiring you as a consultant. It's tremendous. I just wanted to go back to a little bit about the Dr. Katoof and the consulting. What are a couple of the pieces of advice that your consultant gave to you that you really implemented in your strategies as a business owner?
One of the things that I repeatedly talk about is something called intra-office recall, and it's where you replace your patient with another patient from from their household or their family, and it's free marketing, or it's like you don't have to pay for this. They're already in your office. They've already seen what an amazing eye exam you provide. So you're filling their cup all throughout their exam, and when they leave, your goal is to book everyone else that lives in their house, and that's something that works really well. And um, that's something that I always remind my team, like, book their wife, book the kids. The kids need an eye exam. Like, they're due. I spoke to them. They're going to book. So it's
Yeah,
always
that
a
patient
good reminder.
acquisition can be expensive, or it can be right in front of you. And particularly when you're growing, hey, even asking that patient for referrals, or if there's anybody else, hey, we're new, would love to see your friends. Thanks for spreading the news. That's why we phone everybody back. And we've taken out your welcome out of our vernacular. We always say thank you. Thank you for coming, because we really appreciate your business and really appreciate you coming. And that's kind of spurs people to, they want to give back. They want to please
Yeah.
you and refer to you and have you be successful in the community. And I know you do so many great things charitable wise in your community. I love it. So good for you. You're just a really, you know, in the practices I know, you're really at the pinnacle already of how I think a practice should be. So congratulations on that. And I love it, Abby. Along the way, my journey, at 30 years of practice, it feels like I still get excited talking to somebody like you who's just still growing and still building a great business and adding things like medical aesthetics. Can you tell me about Bright and that company? And I love your play on words. You've got eyes on the optometry side. You got bright eyes with aesthetics. I mean, that's just absolutely brilliant. So what? Tell me how that's going.
It's going really well. I love it. And I'm lucky to have both places in the same building. I own the building, so I got lucky there finding a place that could hold everything, although we're growing and probably going to burst at the seams soon. But it's nice to have everything that I need. And even when I have a dry eye patient in my chair, I can ding my staff next door and say, Mary, can you come over here and come and grab Sharon? And it's really, really nice when it works out, although now Mary's getting busy and now she can't just come and get her. But it's exciting, and I think it rejuvenated me, and it makes me just excited to come and see what else there is.
Yeah, and I mean, in a short time, I guess that's interesting too. When you own the building and you're growing, now what? How do you manage the growth? Like, for me, I didn't plan to have 5 clinics. We just outgrew the one space. We thought, oh, in a neighboring town, we're just going to open another one because we physically couldn't grow in that location. So, wonder what your thoughts on that of actually outgrowing your space 7 years in now, right? It's an
Well,
inflection
that's a
point.
really insightful comment, because I've had that thought in my head. Like, you are a huge mentor to me, and same with Wes McCann, and both of you have so many locations now. And I think in my head, like, how could I possibly do this again? And I guess if I do outgrow this building, then that probably would be a smart next step. But right now we're trying to hold it all together in here right now.
Yeah, and you're absolutely doing an incredible job there. So, what would you say, some of the biggest challenges you have, Abby, to running your practice are? What are some challenges you find, even including work-life balance? I know you've got 2 young children, so you're leading multiple teams, including at home, right?
Yeah, I think balancing being a mom and a wife and a business owner, it's a lot. And I think people need to realize that my brain, and probably your brain, for sure your brain, never stops. um, I think it's doable, and I wouldn't have it any other way. But there are days when I get home and I'm just like, what what was that day? Like, I can't even function. I'm like a zombie by the end of the day. But it's it's good, and I feel like it's motivational to me. And I feel like if I was not doing a lot, it wouldn't feel good to me.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's interesting, to be able to transition from your work environment to the home environment. And like you say, sometimes you've been talking all day at work and, your partner wants to talk and you're like, don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. As I've matured, I've realized to check, my presence and be present in each interaction and realize, you know, I need to be the best version of myself wherever I am. If I'm at work or I'm coaching the kids, I got to be present with the kids and leave work aside. So I wonder how you feel about that.
That's I feel like I need to listen to that advice. I think that's what I struggle with. I think I fill everybody's cup. And one of my friends told me recently, when you are a business owner, 80% of your job is being a therapist to not only your patients, but your staff. And I feel like I do a good job at that. And then by the time I get home, I've run out of compassion. And just like you said, don't talk to me. I try to give my kids all of myself, but my husband gets the
Yeah,
leftovers. So
take it out.
sorry,
Take it out on the
Pat.
husbands. Yeah. Yeah, no, but I mean that's good, and it is a challenge, and I'm sure you're doing a fantastic job, and even just recognizing the challenge within that, I think, is part of that journey. So, good for you, Abby. I wanted to quote you. Abby, I know you've used the little saying, patients don't know how much you know until they know how much you care. And tell me what that means to you.
I think the main thing that people want is you to listen to them. And being a good listener can get you so far. If you say nothing and just let someone talk to you, like sometimes I don't even say anything and they leave saying, "This was the best eye exam I've ever had." And I'm like, "I didn't even tell you anything." And it just shows that people want to be heard and um, feel like you're listening to them. And I think that goes for not only our patients, but your staff, like my teammates. I think in general, I'm a good listener and I don't interrupt people when they speak. I let people say their whole spiel and go from there.
That's great. That's great, Abby. I better take tips from that and stop interrupting my patient because I got to get to the next one. But you know what I do is my little tip is to use their own words in my summary. So we buzz our optician into the exam lane so that when we do a handoff, the patient's listening to my recommendations and I'm tying back the words, hey, they're a big computer user, and I know that their distance is here, and or whatever. They have a little bit of neck pain. Let's talk about Neurolenses. Whatever their words that they describe their condition to me. I kind of weave that back so it at least appears that I'm listening, Abby.
That's genius. You are listening. I even
Yes,
watched
I am.
you. And
I'm trying to listen. I am listening. Abby, what's the most common feedback you hear from patients that you get the most value out of?
I think hearing that that was the most thorough eye exam they've ever had, or the most educational eye exam, or even just that was by far the best eye exam I've ever had, like that's such a compliment. And it does feel really good to know that all the time and effort I've put into their eye exam, that they're recognizing that I do actually care, and that feels really good.
When you get great feedback, Abby, do you ask for reviews or does that just come organically?
I actually do. Whenever they say something like that, I'm always so thankful. And then I say, "Do you have Google?" And then some of them do, some of them don't. And if they do, I say, "Would you leave me a review?" And most of them really actually will go home and do it that day. And that's really helpful too. So I recommend doing that. If people compliment you, that's like your ticket to say, "Could you tell the world about it then?"
That's great advice. And I know I've seen some practices have QR codes or have survey links with a Google review that they can just click to make it a little bit easier to give you a 5-star review. So that's amazing. What would be the optimal number of patient care days for you?
I think 2 to 3 would be nice. I like seeing patients and being in the office, but I also find it very hard to keep up with the business side of things. And if I'm seeing patients more than 2 or 3 days a week, it's like everything else is like a snowball that I can't catch up to. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'm still seeing patients quite a bit and doing a lot of other things like have a podcast and as we're doing now. And and I still lecture quite a bit. You know what I love? I love what I do, Abby, like you do. So it's great. And then being in practice so long, patients are waiting. So they're like, "Where are you?" I'm like, you just start collecting patients. It becomes a little bit of a treadmill. And the office and my team needs me in other ways that are non-patient care ways to sort of manage the business piece. The cool part of our evolution is we've empowered and delegated and trained members of our team, and some of them are non-production members. They're not in patient care that have helped us take a lot of the weight of owning and managing the practice off my shoulders. So it can actually go back a little bit more to the patient care piece, which is kind of cool. So one example of that would be, we have a director of wellness and experience, and her job is to just do all the things in marketing and take those pieces away. I don't do the hiring or firing anymore. I've got a team that does that, and that's really been a great evolution, over the years. And I think, part of that is that you're not, eyes and Bright are going to evolve a decade from now. And so realizing you're going to change, you're going to grow, and how to put those pieces in play that allows you to keep enjoying the growth journey, I think that is also going to be fascinating to watch from my perspective.
That's great. How did you know that you needed that wellness director and to delegate? I know you do so much. When do you know that you're going to feel better if you let it go?
Yeah, I think you'll always feel better if you let it go. I mean, so what happens is you have to realize not everybody's Abby Jacob. They're not going to do things exactly or as well as you, but you're going to mentor them, and maybe you drop a little bit in efficiency, and then you train them to be better, and they learn and they do things, and then all of a sudden, they're amazing, and you couldn't do without them. And so I think that's important. Like for the first 7 years, I did my own books, and now we have a controller, that does amazing spreadsheets and financials. And I was doing bank reconciliation in between patients because I'd only have 4 or 5 patients a day at the beginning. I was answering the phone, I was cleaning the office. So I think obviously you have to evolve as you get busier. But I think it's also cool to be able to know all the jobs and then mentor people. But if you're a micromanager, then you'll be stagnant a little bit, and you'll be stuck and be overwhelmed. So you just have to, do a trajectory. If you're growing, you have to plan that you're going to have to shed some of these duties, and that growth will help you fund talent in your team to do those things. So that's what I think.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. That's really helpful. I need to do that.
Yeah, and I think if that's a mindset for you, like say, hey, I'm going to delegate, and that's part of your overall, business mindset. I'm going to pick off everything and delegate that out, whether, it's a junior person and we're starting to train them over time, or it's a brand new position that you can afford as you grow, then do that. But there's talent in our teams, that's probably untapped. And I'm just so amazed. I mean, I'm so proud of some of my team members that have, done so well to grow our business. Like I have I know, Alicia from my dry eye, part of our team. And so she manages that dry eye segment of our business. And she does an amazing job with, training the other team members and budgeting and interacting with suppliers. And she does a lot. I don't have to do hardly any of that anymore. So it's just it's a joy to see her grow and into that position. And it helps drive our business because I've got great people doing that. I couldn't do it all myself now. We're just too big. And so when you come to that realization, you just can't, it's almost a good thing. It's almost freeing, so, yeah.
And I think your teammates love stepping up to the plate. If it's something that they feel that they can become better at or learn more, it improves their life at work too, I think.
Oh, totally. I mean, they want to do more. They want to have more responsibility. And at the end of the day, that's a great way to sort of keep your talent with you. That you train them, they grow, you're more productive, more efficient. There's profits to share amongst the team. And so it's a really cool thing. I wanted to pivot to a little fun segment we have is this or that, or better this or better that.
Okay.
If you want to put it in optometry terms. So better this or better that, and you can't keep saying, show me again. That can be frustrating.
Okay.
So TikTok or Instagram Reels? TikTok. Okay.
How about you?
Instagram Reels. I can't do TikTok. I feel like I'm too Gen X for TikTok. I'll watch TikTok videos on Instagram, but
Oh,
I don't have my own TikTok account.
you'll
It
watch TikTok reels on Instagram 2 months later.
exactly. I'm missing. I'm behind the times. That's why I just follow you and Eyes on Instagram. I get all the latest little TikTok trends. So
Well, to be fair, I don't make TikToks. I watch TikToks to get ideas and then make them into an Instagram reel to post on Instagram.
okay, okay.
We do have a TikTok account, but I'm not like a TikTok pro. I just have an addiction to TikTok.
You have an addiction to TikTok. Okay, yeah, mine's
That's
probably.
right.
I probably watch more Instagram, and I mean, I don't know. Now the algorithms. Once you watch one, I watched one cat video once, and now I have to keep watching them, and I keep watching them over and over again. They send me more cat videos. So I don't know. I guess they've got me right. It's the cat video doctor that I've just got to. I'm wasting a lot of time watching cat videos. So I got
Same. The cat videos got me too.
to. They know us, Abby. How do they know? I'm like, oh my god. Anyway, okay, playing in a jazz band or a rock band.
A rock band.
Oh, I love it. Okay, Toronto Raptors or Chicago Bulls.
Bulls.
Oh, it really hit home, eh? You bought into the
That's just
scene there.
Well, that's because of the history, like the Michael Jordan
Oh
days
yeah,
and the Dennis
yeah,
Rodman and
yeah.
Scottie
Absolutely. You can't.
Pippen.
You love the old school Bulls were unbelievable for sure. Local pub or a coffee shop.
Local pub.
Yeah, I know you're doing something cool with the local brewery, right? Can you tell me about that?
Yeah. Uh, well, we did something about a year and a half ago where this brewery called the Grove, they're really into like local support local collaborations, and they invited me to be featured for one of their town tango beers that they brew. And they made a can and it had like an eye chart on it, and it said the name of it was Carotene Dream, and it was made with carrots, and it was a carrot blonde ale. And on the side label, it talked all about eyes in my office and my amazing team. And it was a big honor to be invited to do that.
That is so cool, and I saw that, and I know. I thought, oh, I want my own beer now too. Like I want to feature beer. So that's going to be a goal of mine, Abby. Thanks to you setting the trend. So
You can
amazing,
do
good for
it.
you. You're doing such cool stuff. It's so good. Thanks for joining us on Optometry Unleashed. I mean, really, truly an honor to have you. Summers by the lake or by the ocean?
The lake, because I grew up on the lake. How about you?
I like both. I mean, there's nothing better than jumping into a lake in the summer, right?
Well, I was spoiled. I grew up with parents who had a boat, so we live in, well, Kingsville, if you don't know, is the most southern town of Canada, uh, right on Lake Erie. So we would drive the boat across the lake, and there's this amazing amusement park called Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio, with like the best roller coasters. And every time we'd go across the lake, we'd jump into the lake, and that was my favorite. Just
No, so super fun, super fun. I can do a cold plunge in the ocean now too, and then warm plunge in the lake. So, are
nice.
you a morning person or a night owl, Abby?
Mm, I feel like now I have to be a morning person because I have a 2-year old and a 4-year old. But
You're a forced morning person.
yeah, I'm a forced morning person, and I do like it better. I think waking up and having a full day and like feeling like you have the whole day, that makes me happier than staying up late. How about you?
My friends joke that I need three best friends: one for the morning, one for the day, and one for the night. So I'm kind of a night owl and a morning person, which is makes me a bit of a vampire, I guess. But yeah, I love the morning too. Like I love just getting up in the morning, but at night, if there's something fun going on, I don't want to miss it. I guess it's
Mm.
FOMO, right? Like I'm like, yeah, I'm in. I'm in kind of guy. Like I'm like, if people are going out, I'm coming, right?
I used to be more like that. I had a lot of FOMO, and now I have JOMO, joy of missing out.
I haven't heard that before. That's fantastic. You're like, yeah, you guys can have that, and I'm just going to get some sleep.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the smarter move, to be honest. So
Well,
good for
maybe when
you.
my kids grow up, I'll be more energized again.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big job, right? Like, kids have a ton of energy. It's unbelievable. I remember, I'll tell you another quick little story. I remember my my little nephew in Australia. We were visiting Australia, and he got a little kid sort of watch tracker, like one of those baby smart watches that tracks his steps,
Oh,
right?
okay.
And I had gone for a jog in the morning before this kid even got up. And Christmas Day, it's warm out in Australia and Christmas, and he looks at my watch. He goes, "That's a cool watch." He goes, "Hey, if I beat you with the number of steps, we trade watches." And I already done 10,000 steps before this kid even woke up. So I'm like, "You're not gonna beat me." But immediately after he bet me that, he started running laps. Like the kid wouldn't stop. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to give him this really expensive Samsung watch if I don't get going too. So you just can't underestimate the energy of kids, right? They have,
So
if we
now,
could bottle that, that is amazing. So, and I'm sure your kids must have a lot of energy too. So,
yeah, never ending energy and negotiating at bedtime. I feel like I don't know where they get it. Their negotiations.
it is incredible, kids negotiating. That is a real skill. You know what? I took a negotiation course, Abby, one time, and they said you cannot move your position for 15 minutes. 15 minutes. You don't change your position. So, and the ways to increase pressure as negotiation is, screaming, crying, or silence. And they said the average parent moves their position within 2 minutes.
I believe it. I'm guilty of that.
Yeah, because you just want to make the crying stop,
Hmm.
right? So it's so interesting, right? How they become master negotiators and manipulators. It's like
Yeah.
amazing.
Did
Yeah.
you did you read that book, Never Split the Difference?
No, is that a good book to read?
That's a good one, and it's from a master negotiator too that like worked for the FBI, and like
Hmm.
it talks about in order to get what you want, you need to be empathetic to the person that you're trying to get something out of them. You need to be empathetic and show them that you understand their side too.
Hmm.
And the goal is to get you both to like an equally good endpoint. And it's about negotiating and having both sides end up in a positive.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting. Like it's not it's relationship, right? That we're generally also being in a small town, right? You're not trying to win. You're trying to have everybody win and feel good about what they're doing, right? So
Right.
we want people to buy glasses and contacts from us, but we also want them to feel good about their purchase. So
Exactly. Has
one of
to
the things we
feel
do is we phone
mutual.
everybody back to ensure that they feel good. Do you do anything like that from a customer service point of view?
We do that every time after they get their Neurolenses, and I like that. And we've taught the optical staff to start charting that conversation to say, like, how are your symptoms? How are you improving? Oh, you're not improving, or you're getting worse, or something like that. Not that many of them get worse, but I love that feedback. And it's something that I've thought about. Maybe we should do this for every pair of glasses. And so, how do you do that?
Yeah, we do it for every pair of glasses. We do it
And
for every
how
pair of
long
glasses.
after? Like a week?
3 weeks, usually about 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah. So we
Okay.
want them to get adjusted and feel comfortable, and it's just a touch base. How you doing? Make sure if you ever need any adjustments, we're always here for you. Take care of you all the way. Appreciate your business. That type of thing. So
That's
you can
amazing.
automate it too with text messages and things like that as well.
Thanks for that. That's helpful.
Yeah, of course, of course. So, just in closing a little bit, Abby, would you ever consider expanding your business outside of Kingsville? Would you ever, have another practice? I know our colleague Wes, does, different cities. Have you ever thought of taking your recipe, your fun, engaging recipe on the road?
I've thought of that. It's something that I feel like if I become excited about it, I will do it. At this point, I'm still trying to get my practice running as efficiently and productively as I can. And I wanted to hear your thoughts on that actually. And like when I know you said you grew out of your original location, and how do you know when it's time to open another location in a different city?
Yeah, it's a challenge. Like you say, you want to maximize your opportunity and your what you're doing in your current location, and that is by no means easy. And you were talking about scaling. How do you make sure you have a consistent approach
Hmm.
in all your clinics, even though you're not physically there? And that is, enculturating and making sure that you're communicating. Yeah, it's certainly something that you have to work always upon to make sure you have a consistent approach.
Hmm.
But when you have good processes, I think it's repeatable. And I've noticed, now having 5 clinics, that I do have a good recipe, and making sure you have talented people and caring people as part of that recipe is paramount to success.
And do you work in every practice, or do you just work at one or two practices? And do you find that each new practice that you open, does it get easier and easier, or is it like stressful and stressfuler?
you know, uh, that's a good question. I work out of 3 of the 5 clinics myself in patient care. I don't know. It doesn't. It every time I do it, I'm like, wow, what am I doing? Why? Why? And then afterwards, I'm so pleased. It
Oh,
takes
good.
a little bit, and there is some efficiencies like delegating the marketing to a person for the whole organization, or HR to a person for the whole organization. So there's economies of scale there, which are kind of cool, and allow me to do what I love to do the best, which is also patient care. I don't want to leave patient care because
Hmm.
I love interacting with my patients. And so, yeah, I think, scaling to, enduring business, the infinite game where this business can I was just in Thailand for 17 days, and the practices did very well, and everybody steps up to lead a bit more when their manager's away. And so we've kind of formulated a leadership team that helps oversee all 5 clinics. And now with our size, we're able to do that. So I think that it's all an evolution as you grow, but
Right.
it's not without growing pains for sure.
Right.
So I think you go between feeling like, oh, what have I done, to feeling really proud and excited about where we're going. So Abby, as we wrap up, is there anything you'd like to tell us about what's exciting for you in the future, or what's coming up for Dr. Abby Jacob and your optometric adventures?
Yeah, if anybody's looking for help opening a practice or running their business better, I would love to talk to you about consulting, and I'm here for you. And you get me and my consultant, Dr. Richard Katoof, who's incredible, and he's more the old school consultant, like kind of like a parent that's going to boss you around, and I'm the one that adds a little bit of flair and dry eye and aesthetics if you're interested in that too. And it's we're a good team. So
Yeah,
get in touch if you're needing some help.
that's amazing. Richard's like the parent, and you're the one. You're the best friend that goes out, right, on the adventures. So
So you can reach us at eyes, Dr. Abby Jacob, Jakob, at gmail.com. Or you can just follow us on our Instagram. It's at Abby Jacob Eyes, and just DM us on there if you want to talk there too.
yeah, I'm really interested in your future, Abby, and Eyes and Bright, and how you've built brands and really own that piece, because you're doing amazing things. And I think you'll continue to do amazing things. So, yeah, is there anything you want to leave us with, and before we go?
I have one question for you.
Yeah.
How do you know when you can take off a vacation, and like how frequently do you take time off?
Yeah, I have one of my classmates. She always said, "Trev, I plan something quarterly, so I have something exciting to look forward to, even if it's
Mm,
just an extended long weekend or a week away." Um, you know, I think you should plan to get away from your practice quarterly,
mhm.
and get time away, and don't necessarily think about work, and make sure you empowered people in your office to take care of anything that may come up.
Right.
And so maybe that's a partner in the future, or maybe that's a key employee that part of their responsibility is to manage any kind of challenges when you're away.
Hmm.
Because if you never take time away, then you'll never get away. And
Right.
that is even in your headspace, right? Like, you physically need to remove yourself from Kingsville, probably, because you'll never get away. People are going to talk about, eyes and their eyes when you're at the grocery store, right? Because that's
For
just,
sure.
you just live it all the time. And so it also gives you thinking time. So I really try to look forward to something, whether it's a conference or speaking gig or vacation. I'm always like, hey, what's going to happen next? I'm going to Boston next week. I'm going to Vegas in May. I'm just,
Nice.
I like to do fun things, and that helps keep me energetic. So you don't want to get burnt out. I mean, that's the last thing your team wants from you.
Right, right. I think I do get away quite a bit, and even if it's just like a weekend away, it does kind of regenerate me, and it feels good to be back after you've gotten time away.
Yeah, and I know you've got pals out on Vancouver Island, Abby. So I'm gonna, in front of everybody here, give you a open invitation to visit me, at the house or at the lake house, and let's have one of those shot meisters, or maybe we could just
Oh,
have a regular beer. We're getting too old for shotmeister, right? But I really want to thank you for your time, and your insight into how an entrepreneur goes back to their hometown and is a really ringing success. And you're doing amazing things in optometry, and I love it. I love the energy, and really want to thank you for joining me on Optometry Unleashed.
thank you so much, Trevor. You're such an inspiration, and I'm so honored that you invited me here. And I will be out to visit you for sure. And we're going to do shots.
Amazing. Okay, I'll get the liver ready for that. You heard it here first. We're doing shots. We'll have to do a TikTok, a little shots TikTok, and
Yeah,
yes, let's do that.
we
Okay,
will. Thank
amazing.
you.
Thank you so much, and thanks everybody for joining us on Optometry Unleashed. Until next time, this is your host Trevor Miranda, and we'll see you soon. Thank you for joining us on Optometry Unleashed. If you like the show or find the content we provide valuable, please hit the follow button on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It's a great way to support our work at zero cost to you. You can also leave us a review of up to 5 stars on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you have any questions for me, comments about the podcast, or guests you would like us to consider, please leave us a comment on Spotify or Apple Podcasts with your feedback. Our team reviews all the comments we receive on the show to guide us in providing better content for our listeners. And thank you again to Hoya Vision Canada for being a proud sponsor of our podcast.